Third grade. Today we're going to do lesson 4, and lesson 4 is called round. And round, or rounding, is when we try to get really close to a number. Well, we don't always have to know exactly how much something is, or we want to know how much something is, but it helps us in our heads when we round it and we have a better idea of just exactly what is that number. So if I go to the grocery store and there's milk for $1.99, I know that's really close to $2. And so in my head, it's like, well, that's $2, and that's not a bad price. And then there's ice cream, and ice cream, well, you could have a smaller one or a bigger one, and I like to eat ice cream. I think most people do. And if the ice cream was $5.23, I know in my head, well, that's pretty close to $5. So if I went shopping and I know that the milk is about $2 and the ice cream is about $5, and that together makes 5 and 2 is $7. And I can kind of do that and keep an eye on things and know how much do I want to spend. Well, I only have a $10 bill, and so you know what? I can probably get a loaf of bread, and maybe that's about it for today. So sometimes we just have a little cash. There's a lot of instances when we just want to round and get close. So today we're going to start practicing that. And I want you to make sure that you have your packet out, page 29, and marker and place value and all that information is real close at hand, because you can use that anytime, and you can pause this video and slow it down. Take your time, do a nice job. All right, let's get started. Here's some of those big words again. How can numbers be expressed, ordered, and compared? And the last lesson, we put numbers in order and we put our finger down so we could keep space between those. Which one's the biggest? Which one's the smallest? Least to greatest? Greatest to least? Well, today we're going to round, and that's when you change the number. I was saying you kind of change it a little bit and to make it easier to work with, because we can remember tens and hundreds easier than 97 or 5,296. So we'll round some small numbers to start with. And here's an example. There are 32 people in line ahead of Cassandra to buy popcorn. She must be at the movie theater. 32 people. I don't know if I'd want to stand in line and wait for 32 people, but let's keep going. About how many people is that? How many people is she going to have to wait for? Well, first we circle the digit to be rounded, and that's going to be the front digit, or the greatest value, the 3. And we're going to look at the digit to its right. That's a 2. If the digit is less than 5, do not change the circled digit. So it's 30 right now. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. So we won't change that. It's going to be a 3 still. 2 is less than 5. Replace all the digits after the circled digit with zeros. So 4 steps sounds like a lot, but it can be very easy. We circle, we look to the right. If it's the one that we're pointing the arrow to, if that one is smaller than 5, do not change the digit. And you replace all the digits after the circled digit with zeros. It will look like this. We don't change it. Still a 3. But we do change the 2, because 32 is very close to 30. We replace that with a 0. Remember, we're just trying to get an about answer or close, because it's easy for our brains to remember even numbers in tens and hundreds. 30, 10, 20, 30. Well, 32 isn't so hard either, but when we get bigger numbers, it takes a little bit of practice. How big is that? Easier to think of hundreds and even thousands with the zeros. I'll erase that. Here's another way to look at it with a number line. So this number line, remember the arrow here will go all the way back to 0. So 0 is back that way. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up. We're starting at 30. And these numbers would actually go all that way as far as you wanted to. So we're looking at just the numbers between 30 and 40, and it's on a number line, and we're counting by 1. And the number we started with was 32. And the question would be, is 32 closer to the 30, or would it go up to a 40? Well, you can see on the number line, it's a lot closer to 30. Here's the middle. That's the 5 that we kind of had been talking about. And I normally call that like the magic 5. If it's going to be a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that would be closer to 40. So if we had a number here, we were rounding. But we're using 32. 32 is closer to 30 than it is to 40. Either method you use, the answer is the same. Cassandra has about 30 people that she's going to have to wait for to get her popcorn. And if it were me, I don't know about you, I think I'd go back and watch the movie. All right. Remember, you can always go to McGraw-Hill under Austin Public School, Family, and you'll see that listed as one of your choices. Lots of nice tools. Good help. All right, let's do some guided practice. So turn your page. There's a couple more examples, tools in the tutor. All right. Oh, Mr. B is going to have a 6 this time. All right, remember, circle the number. This will round tens every time. Let's read this. Use a place value chart to round 165 to the nearest 10. All right, circle the digit in the tens. Look to the right. We draw an arrow. If it's 5 or greater, if it's 5 or greater, you're going to add 1 to the circled digit. This time, it's going to be closer to the next number. Let's just see what we have here. All right, 5 equals 5. All right, if the digit is 5 or greater, add 1 to the circled digit. All right, we're going to keep the hundreds the same. We're going to add 1 to the 6, so it becomes a 7. And what do we do with the last digit then? Replace all the digits after the circled digit with zeros. How many are there? Just one digit after. Let's replace that with a 0. So 165 is very close to 170, isn't it? So it says Sonia sent about 170 text messages. I guess we didn't read that first. 165 text messages on her family's cell phone. That's a lot of messages. Mr. B doesn't send that many messages, I can tell you that, a lot less. But some people like to send little messages. Hi, how are you? Erase this. All right, let's look at the guided practice now. Round to the nearest 10. Take our time, remember those 4 steps. Number 1, circle the tens. Number 2, draw an arrow to the next digit in the ones place. Is this less than 5? Then that would stay the same, but it's not less than 5. So what happens? It's going to go up 1. So the 5 becomes a 6. And what's step 4? Then you replace the last digit, or any, however many digits there were. Right now there's only going to be 1 past the tens, with a 0. Let's try this one. Step 1. Go ahead and do that. Push pause. Did you circle? Step 2, you do that. Push pause. Did you draw an arrow? Step 3, we look at that number that we're pointing that arrow to. Is it less than 5? No. Is it greater than 5? Or 5 or greater? Yes. It's right in the middle. So 5 or greater is going to tell us to do what? Go up 1. And what do we do with the last digit? Replace it with the 0. So 85 is very close to 90. And 58 is closer to 60 than it is to 50. What should you do to round a number that ends in 5, which is exactly halfway? What do? Do we add the 1 to the tens place, or do we leave it alone? Tell your home helper. Let's try number 3. Step 1. Circle the 10. We're rounding to tens. Round to tens. Round or get very close with your number in the tens place, the nearest 10. Then we do step 2. Look at the ones place. Is that less than 5? Yes, it is. So what happens to the 7? It stays the same. And what do we do to the last digit? Becomes a 0. All right, 3rd grade. Takes a little bit of practice. You practice your independent page. Let's go ahead and take a look. Mr. B is going to help you with the first 2. All right. Round to the nearest 10. Step 1. Circle. And then I do an arrow like this because there's nearly not room in between. And we're looking at the 7 now. Is it less than 5? No. Is it 5 or bigger? Yes. So what happens to the circle? Goes up 1. 1 more than 7 is an 8. And what do we do with that last digit? Replace it with a 0. And that means 77 is very close to 80. So if I was going to look on a number line and I had 70 and I had 80 and I had all the numbers in between, 72, 73, 74, 75 in the middle, 76, 77, 78, and 79, and I had 77 right here. Is that close to the 70 or closer to the 80? It is closer to the 80. Remember number line? You can think of that. Another way is if I have 77, I can write the smaller 70. It's between 70 and 80. I can write 70 here, and I can write 80 here. Now, is 77 closer to 70 or 80? So, strategies 1 through 4, you can think of a number line, or you can write the smaller tens, even tens above, and the bigger tens above. Here's the tens, 7 tens, 70 and 80, between 70 and 80. That might help you too. Let's try 67. Above I write 67's between 60 and 70. Is it closer to 60 or 70? Well, let's do those steps. Circle the tens. Look at the 7 in the ones. Does the 7 tell you, is it 5 or more? It is 5 or more. So the 6 that you circle goes up 1 and replace the ones with a 0. 67, closer to 60 or 70? It's closer to 70. So we're getting close to the answers or close to the number, but we're kind of making it easier in our head. Say, hey, 70 is, that's about 67 is about 70. And the girl with the popcorn, 32 people in front of her, well, it's about 30 people. That's still a lot. All right. You guys, I know you can do it. Take your time. Thank you, home helpers. And I will see you soon. See you in teams.